morning. This video will be on reviewing the last book I read, 33 Strategies of War by Robert Greene. So I took some notes. I always take a few notes when I read, except I'm reading for different reasons. When I read self-development books like this, I like to take notes. I like to visualize, and I like to put myself in certain scenarios to make me to immerse myself in what the writer is trying to pass across. So I took some notes, and these are a few of the salient points I jotted down. Some of the rules too. So one of the rules that struck my eye was number 10. Create a threatening presence. So here goes. The best way to fight off aggressors is to keep them from attacking you in the first place. To accomplish this, you must create the impression of being more powerful than you are. Build up a reputation. You are a little crazy. Fighting you is not worth it. You take your enemies with you when you lose. Create this reputation and make it credible with a few impressively violent acts. So I think what this rule is trying to talk about here is presenting yourself as more powerful than you are, especially in cases where you have forces around you that contradict or that oppose you. You don't want to seem as a weak person, as somebody that can be picked off at any time. I love the way Robert Greene uses history to teach. He uses history to pass across his message, and he gives quotes from, say, generals or from the past, or from books that have been written hundreds of years ago that still apply to modern day life now. So this is just one of those rules that I just wrote down that particularly struck me. And if I want to go to another one, I think I'll just pick a couple of laws that he talked about. Let me read. 12. Lose battles but win the war. This law is talking about grand strategy, having a top-down view of whatever situation you're looking at. And now, 33 strategies of war and most of other books that Robert Greene writes are mostly misinterpreted. This war is not talking about conflict between one army and another army. I think it's much more subtle than that. War in this book and all other books of conflict that Robert Greene writes talks about conflict in general. Conflict can be conflict between you and another person. It can be conflict within yourself, where you are having conflicting ideas about a situation and you're trying to resolve, you're trying to dominate any form of yourself or any situation that requires dominance, that requires one side being above the other side, is generally what is referred to as war. And in this law here, lose battles but win the war, is generally talking about having a top-down view of, let me use the example of yourself, of myself, having a top-down view of yourself, looking at it as though you are fighting or you are going through, looking at life as war, looking at life as a general procession of there are going to be conflicts, and you are going to look at your life as in a way that you are going to win eventually, but you might have some little battles that you're going to lose along the way, but generally you're going to have a strategy that's going to make you win in your life. So I think that's the message that he's trying to pass across. So this rule is talking about having a grand strategy in whatever war battle that the situation is or the situation warrants. So here goes. To become a grand strategist, because for you to create a grand strategy, you have to be a grand strategist. Become a grand strategist means more effective use of what you have, which is your mind, your rationality, your vision. Your first step is to immediately think beyond the immediate battle, beyond what is in front of you. Supposing you got ahead of the conflict that is in front of you now, then what next? Would it leave you better or worse? You need to be able to think ahead. You need to be able to think ahead to the next step, to the step after that, then after that. So this having a grand strategy is more about being able to see beyond your immediate needs or your immediate problems or the immediate circumstance in front of you. So it's just one of those laws in these books that I really, really admire, and I really admire the way it puts forward these concepts. So I think I'm going to read. I'm going to read some really nice quotes that I really loved from the book. Let me look for one from Nietzsche, or let me read this one from Nietzsche. Anger as a spy. This law is talking about intelligence, being able to root out other people's emotions and being able to use other people's emotions against them. Some of these laws might sound a little underhanded, or some of them might sound a little devious, but I like to just look at it as things that we should be aware of in case someone were trying to manipulate us, or trying to use some of these tactics against. You'd be able to identify them beforehand. So this quote from Nietzsche, from Friedrich Nietzsche: anger empties out the soul and brings out even its dregs to light. That is why, if we know no other way of discovering the truth of the matter, we must know how to put our acquaintances, our adherents, and opponents into a rage, so as to learn all that is being taught and undertaken against us. It is really, really wonderful to read some of the writings of Nietzsche, which I will get into very soon. I'm currently on some Dostoevsky, and trust me, it's going well. It's going well. So these other quotes from Miyamoto Musashi. In my opinion, there are two kinds of eyes. One kind simply looks at things, and the other sees through things to perceive their inner nature. The former should not be too tense so as to observe as much as possible, and the latter, which is the eye used to see through things, should be strong so as to discern the workings of the opponent's mind clearly. Sometimes a man can read another's mind with his eyes. In fencing, it is all right to allow your eyes to express your will, but never let them reveal your mind. These matters should be considered carefully and studied diligently. These are just a few excerpts from the book. If I were to rate the book, like I do a couple of my other books that I've read, if I were to rate this book, I would rate it. If you're into dark psychology like this, and I think the word for it would be manipulative psychology, I would rate the book 7.5/10, because whilst the book is useful for certain aspects, I would say it's I would say it's not completely new. It's not something novel like 48 Laws of Power, like the way it struck me then. This is a bit different. It's a bit different, and some of the laws here are just some of the things that were reiterated from 48 Laws of Power. So, but nonetheless, I think it's an interesting read. I think maybe on the second or third read, I'd find it more useful. I'd be able to interpret it better. So yeah, so my next book is The Idiot, and started this already. I think I'm going to take it slowly because the book is a bit much, but I look forward to enjoying it. I look forward to reading more of Dostoevsky. I look forward to reading a lot of his books. So, yeah, see you all next time.